Hey, what's up guys? Nate here from Protoculture and Shadow Chronicles. Welcome back to another Sonic Academy video. Today we're going to be taking a look at a pretty essential process that you have to go through these days when releasing music, especially when it's going to land up on radio or streaming platforms, and that's how to create a radio edit. Now this does seem like a pretty easy task. Sometimes it can be quite difficult when you cram quite a lot of stuff into a short mix, but I wanted to kind of just walk you through a few little tips and tricks to make this process a bit easier and to save you some trouble further down the line. So let's get into this and check this out. So I've got a project open here. This is the track that we created for the How to Sound Like Tinlicker tutorial. If you want to check out the full tutorial, go have a look at sonicacademy.com. We've got the full walkthrough on how to create this track. But I want to look at creating a radio edit now. So the importance of doing the radio edit these days is if you want to get stuff playlisted on the radio, or if you want to get playlisted on Spotify playlists, for example, you're going to have to submit a shorter version of the track. It's just the way things are these days. And ideally, you're looking at around 3 minutes and 30 seconds. Nothing more than 4 minutes. The labels that I release with often won't accept a track that's over 4 minutes for a radio edit. So we want to kind of cram this down. This track is not super long as it is, but we're looking at about 6 minutes, 20 seconds, and we're going to cram that down to a 3 minute, 30 second-ish mix. One of the most important things to do, though, is, in my opinion, to do it at this stage when you are in the production of the track. If you've just finished this track, and in this case we exported things as a stem mix to master it, we should be doing the radio edit before we head out to exporting those stems. And the reason being is that if you ever need to come back and change something, it's a lot easier to do it when the radio edit and the extended version are both in the same track. If you change something on the kick, for example, it's going to change it for the radio edit as well, rather than having to open up a second project and make the changes there as well. So in this case, I've used the arranger track at the top, which is going to be handy in just a sec. To make things a little bit more easy, what I'm going to first do here is just add in a marker channel. We'll call this edits. And I've got the locators set. Currently, we'll get the whole track in there. I'm just going to create a cycle marker in Cubase, which will add this marker here. It makes it easy for me to kind of just select this entire section here and loop it to that. What we're going to do now is we're going to select everything within this section, and we are going to duplicate all of this out into a later part of the track. We'll bring it over here to around 225. So you can see now we have essentially 2 copies of our full track. We've got a second marker here. This marker, I'm going to call this the extended version. And this won't apply to all DAWs, but in Cubase this is going to come in handy when we actually export the tracks as well. So we've got extended, and this is going to be our radio editor. We'll rename that in a sec. So now it's time to start cutting back. We'll do the radio edit first. We'll have the extended edit come afterwards. We want to start whittling this down to a point where it's going to be much shorter. So it's important to kind of just figure out what's important in the track. What do you need to get in there? For starters, we don't need the intro, and this is where these arranger tracks come in handy. I can just go in here, select that, and shift backspace, remove all of that for starters. And that's actually not a bad place to start. We're going to just check how long the track is without the intro. So we're at 5 minutes 15. We're going to have to whittle that down a little bit more. So let's take a listen and we'll figure this out. Okay, so we're going to kind of cut out half of each of these sections here. For the intro. We may actually just try cutting that section out there as well. Cool, so we'll have that as our intro, and this section here, we need to kind of just progress this a little bit quicker, so we will cut out half of these as well. In actual fact, we could probably, let's just get rid of that whole initial section there. And we'll start off with these all the way down. Take this bass out. That kind of works for me. We may just bring in that effects again. And this is really the reason why I want to do it at this stage, because you can move around effect samples and things very easily at this stage. Once you're down to audio, it's a lot harder to cut your radio edits. So we kind of just minimize that whole intro section now. And we're going to cut out this section from here to here as well, another 8 bars. We'll get rid of those, and we'll just kind of just smooth out our automation again here. We could actually just cut out that entire section as well. We'll go straight to the second half of the main section of the track. And that sounds about right. We'll just take a listen now to where we are. See, already just by doing that, speeding up that intro, we want to get to the point as quickly as possible. We're already down to 3 minutes and 36 seconds, which is fantastic. We're just going to round that off. We might make it even a little bit shorter. We're going to leave the break pretty much like it was. We don't want to mess around. That's kind of like the highlights of the track, so we want to kind of keep that in place as much as possible. And now we're just going to try and cut down the ending so we don't have extended sections where it's just kind of running out of track. And that pretty much is the radio edit. It's a lot easier to do it this way. It's easier, just have a lot more options available to you as far as kind of editing this down. Like I said, once it's in audio, it's a lot more difficult to kind of do fades and things. Fades are not great either. Sometimes they cause a bit of phasing and things like that. So we want to do it like this. So now I'm going to come to another little trick, and this is a great thing with Cubase. So we can, if we were going to send this to mastering now, we could actually just do a single export with the radio edit and the extended edit both together. The mastering engineer can go and just chop those up. And it's going to make the mastering a lot easier as well, because now we just have to master one track. The radio edit and the extended edit should essentially have the same processing at the end of this process. So we would just do a bus chain for the entire collection of radio and extended edits, and then bounce down separate versions of those. Now I want to just show you a nice little trick inside of Cubase. If we have the marker tracks labeled correctly like we do here now. We've got the extended version and we've got the radio edit there. I'm probably going to want to just extend that just a little bit so we don't have a click at the start of the track. The radio edit's not going to be too much of a problem. We could insert a small section of silence as well. We'll do that and just Control-Shift-E to insert that silence. And we'll just extend this one back into that silence. Right, so now we've got our radio edit there and we've got our extended edit there. Now we're going to export these to audio files. Cubase has got a really nice export function for doing this. When you go to your audio mixdown, what we can do is we will just remove these that I had there. Here you're going to come down to cycle markers and you're going to turn cycle markers on. We now have markers for the radio edit and the extended edit. We're going to select both of those and it's going to actually render those individually as different files. And then Cubase has a naming functionality as well, which will let you add in those names automatically. You don't have to do anything once it's exported, it's finished. So we're going to go to the naming structure here. And you'll see you have a number of different things that you can do. What we're going to do is the name, which would be the file name. And then we're going to include the cycle marker name at the end of our export. So what we're going to do now is we will say something like Protoculture Tinlicker. We can include two different versions as well. We'll go to 24-bit version. Then we're going to just go add to queue. And you'll see it has done 2 instances of the 24-bit files. We can then also, if we want to export 16-bit ones, we'll just change this to 16-bit there. And you'll see it'll be Protoculture Tinlicker Radio, and then it'll add the extended as well at the end of the extended edit. We can just add those two to the queue once again. And there you have it. All you have to do now is start your export queue. You're going to have the extended versions and the radio edits bounced in 16 and 24-bit file formats. If you had done the mastering already, that would be ready to go. If you were sending this to a mastering engineer, I would, as I said, either send them one file with the radio and the extended together, or you can just do this, the 24-bit versions that we have here with the cycle markers in, so you send 2 tracks at the same time. So these sound like very basic tips, but they've helped me a lot in doing radio edits. Every single track I do needs to go through this process. I used to do them as separate files, and really is a bit of a mission doing it that way. Like I said, if you now go to mastering and you find that maybe the kick or something needs to be a little bit louder, or you need to make some changes to the track, it's going to be a real pain to go and do that in 2 separate project files. You want to be able to do that on one channel here, and that'll affect the radio edit and the extended edit at the same time. Cool. I hope you guys found this video useful, and I will catch you soon right here at Sonic Academy. Cheers.
Thanks everyone for watching. We really appreciate all the support from you guys. If you love this video, then smash a like, and if you want to be notified about new videos, hit the subscribe and notification buttons. Peace!